All right, let's get right into it. When you picture Antarctica, you probably think of endless ice, penguins, and really not much else, right? But what if I told you that scattered across this frozen continent are some of the strangest, most futuristic buildings on Earth? I mean, they look less like research stations and more like spaceships that have just landed from another planet. And wherever there's mystery, the conspiracy theories are not far behind. Some people are convinced these are secret alien bases. Others claim they're where the world's elite are testing out secret weapons. And my absolute favorite? The theory that the Earth is flat and Antarctica is just a giant ice wall keeping us all from falling off the edge. But the real story behind these incredible structures? It has absolutely nothing to do with aliens or flat earthers. The truth is actually a story of amazing human ingenuity, a constant battle against the harshest environment on the planet, and an engineering solution that is, frankly, way more brilliant than any conspiracy. So, to really get why these bases look so darn strange, we first need to push past the myths and understand the reality of Antarctica itself. Okay, so forget what you think you know. Antarctica isn't just cold. It is the coldest, the windiest, and the driest continent all at once. It's an environment so extreme that without some seriously advanced technology, humans just can't survive there. It's this dynamic, constantly changing world made of ice and snow. And the fact that you can't build normally there, well, that's a lesson we all had to learn the hard way. The very first attempt at a building was just a simple stone hut put up by a Scottish expedition way back in 1903. Fast forward over 50 years to 1956, the British built the first major station, Halley I. And they built it, well, like a normal building, with wood and bricks. They thought it would be fine. But by 1968, the entire station was gone, completely buried and crushed under the weight of all that snow. And this really gets to the core of the problem. The early builders, they treated Antarctica like any other spot on Earth. But they quickly learned a fundamental truth. If you put a static building in a dynamic, constantly moving environment of ice and snow, it is doomed. You just can't plant a building there and expect it to stay put. So, facing this problem they just couldn't solve with old-school construction, engineers had to completely throw out the rulebook. And for inspiration on how to build in a truly alien environment, they looked up. The big breakthrough idea was this. Instead of trying to fight the snow, what if you could just rise above it? The inspiration actually came from space stations, these self-contained modular habitats that are designed for the most extreme environments imaginable. And the result was a totally revolutionary new design for a research base. This new station, called Halley VI, is built on three game-changing ideas. First, it's not just one building. It's a series of modules that connect together like puzzle pieces or a train. Second, the entire thing stands up on these powerful hydraulic legs. And third, at the bottom of those legs are giant skis. That's right, the entire building is on skis. So how in the world do they keep it from getting buried like the old stations? Well, the process is just genius. When the snow level rises, technicians go out and they raise one leg at a time. The station's weight just shifts to the other legs. They lift a single leg up, pack the space underneath with new, compacted snow, and then lower the leg back down on its new, higher foundation. They do this over and over for every single leg, literally lifting the entire base to stay above the rising snow. But those giant skis aren't just for raising the station up. They let it move. And this isn't just a theory. Back in 2019, when scientists realized the ice shelf they were on was cracking, they just hooked up some tractors and towed the whole station 23 kilometers to a safer spot. That mobility, baked right into its design, is what saved the entire multi-million-dollar facility. So we know how it survives on the outside, but what's it actually like to live in one of these spaceships on ice? Let's take a look at the specs. Halley VI is home to about 65 to 70 scientists and support staff. And to keep them safe from that brutal cold, the walls, the floor, and the ceiling are an incredible 2.2 meters thick, just packed with insulation. Power comes from diesel generators, but they can't use regular fuel. It would just turn to jelly. They have to use a special non-freezing diesel. A station like this has to be totally self-sufficient. It generates all its own power. It makes all of its fresh water just by scooping up and melting the snow right outside. And this is critical, nothing gets left behind. There are super strict rules in Antarctica. All waste, even sewage, is collected in tanks and then flown off the continent for proper disposal. And you have to check out this piece of tech. The windows aren't even made of glass, which is a terrible insulator and gets super brittle in the cold. Nope. They're made of something called nanogel. It's this amazing insulator that lets light in but keeps the cold out. And this is a perfect example of how tech designed for extreme places ends up helping us back home. Nanogel was once cutting-edge stuff, but now it helps make modern skyscrapers all over the world more energy efficient. Now, Halley VI is an absolutely amazing piece of engineering, but it's really just one solution to one problem. To get the whole picture, we need to kind of zoom out and look at the continent as a whole. And this is so important to remember. Not every base needs to be a mobile spaceship. The whole Halley design is a brilliant solution for a very specific problem, building on a moving ice shelf. But other countries, like Brazil, they've built their bases on the few spots of solid rock on the continent. And since the ground isn't moving, their buildings can be fixed in place. The design always follows the location. So why do 32 different countries go to all this trouble? Well, it's because Antarctica is a priceless natural laboratory. Scientists there are doing vital research into meteorology, astronomy, and geology. And maybe most importantly, they are on the absolute front lines of studying climate change, drilling deep into the ice to read the history of our planet's atmosphere. The population down there is mostly made up of scientists, engineers, and all the support staff it takes to keep these complex places running. But there's a new group arriving in bigger and bigger numbers: tourists. Adventure travel to Antarctica is now a luxury industry, with trips that can cost anywhere from $7,000 to over $25,000. And that kind of brings us to our final thought. These incredible bases prove that humans can survive and even thrive in the most hostile place on Earth. But as our technology gets even better and the continent becomes more and more accessible, we have to ask ourselves, what does the future hold for this pristine, vital, and incredibly fragile wilderness?